Hi, this is Stacia, and I'm going to show a training game that I played on chess.com. So, let's climb that mountain, right? I recently got back over 1700 for like the fourth time. But it's been a battle, like trying to prove that I belong over 1700 hasn't been as easy as it was at first. But that's part of the battle of improving at anything, but especially chess. So now that I'm at 1710, definitely looking to edge my way towards 1800. Now I know that I won't win every game. Like I would need to win 8 or 9 games in a row and then I'll be 1800. It won't go like that, but I certainly want to do my best and learn along the way. So let's have a look at this one. Okay, so in this game, I played e4. They went c6. That's the Caro-Kann. I went d4 and they went d5. So I like to play the Panov attack against this. So I take, and play c4. And I am saying that I will accept an isolated queen pawn, but that is kind of like how I play these days with the initiative and with attacking chances. Or at least what I'm trying to learn. So, all right, they went knight f6, which I think is normal. I went knight to c3. They went e6. This is mainline. And knight to f3. And now I'm used to the move bishop b4. And after bishop b4, I would take here so that I can play bishop d3 without having to recapture. And they would probably take back at the knight, and you have to play bishop d2. And actually, those positions look awkward, but they're just fine for white. Okay, but in the game, they actually did take here. So I don't think that move would be recommended. But I guess they were like, hey, I'm going to give them an isolated pawn. All right, fine. So he did that. And I took on c4. And now bishop e7. Okay, so I think he just wants to develop. It's kind of bad for, this piece is kind of awkward for black though. So that's kind of the source for the advantage that white has, as well as, you know, the half open e file, the half open c file. Well, totally open c file. And the bishops are totally open for white, you know. So the fact that I have an isolated pawn doesn't matter so much yet, but it could if I don't find accurate moves in the middle game. Okay, so I castled, he castled, and I played rook e1. Rook e1 is a very natural move. We just move our rook to the semi-open file. Okay, and he played knight to c6. And I played bishop to f4. Yeah, so here, I actually thought I could play d5 here. Like, if you look at d5, I do have enough support for it, and I could trade off my isolated pawn. But as I was looking at this, I thought it probably wasn't a good move because, like, if everything just trades off like normal, I think we end up with a symmetrical pawn structure. And it's probably just an equalish position. Yeah, so let's have a look at this really quick. So, well, the computer's giving knight to a5. We'll look at that as well. I thought if they take here, you know, I mean, if everything trades off, I don't know that I'm better. I really don't know that. It says bishop f6. Okay. Tying down my bishop a bit and pinning the pawn. Yeah, and the computer says this is totally equal. I can play bishop e3, I guess. I'm not sure how. This move. Yeah, crazy stuff. Wow, it says bishop g5 now, tempo move. Okay, this is a crazy computer line. But basically the position's equal. So I did rightly assess that, so I'm glad to know that. Instead, I should keep my pawn and play more actively. So bishop f4. Developing my last piece. And now I kind of have ideas of knight b5, like attacking the dark squares. Bishop d7 was played, so he just wants to develop, I think. And now I played bishop to e5. Yeah, so I really find these Panov attacks very rich. These positions, especially these middle game positions, have all kinds of crazy strategy and tactics mixed together and can be very complex. I don't fully understand them. Actually, I probably only half understand them, if that. So I am curious to analyze this move. This is what I came up with. Other moves I considered were knight to e5, a3, rook c1. What else could be played here? I don't think, oh, I looked at knight b5. I don't think it's any good though. So let's take some time and learn about this middle game a little bit. So like if knight b5, I thought this was bad because of rook c8. Turns out it's bad because of knight a5. What? Okay, I guess I'd go bishop d3 here. And then it says bishop takes b5. Take it. Take. And then what? Queen b6. Ouch. Yeah, so that attacks the bishop and my pawn. Am I going to lose that pawn, or why can't I just go queen e2? Oh. Well, it does, like, if a6, I'm defending this. Now it says knight d5. And knight d5 attacks my bishop on f4, which is undefended. So I guess I have to go bishop. I mean, it says bishop e3. I would almost certainly go here, though. So what's going to happen? a6. Okay, I'll go bishop d3. Knight c6. All right, so I guess there's nothing crushing here, but this position is apparently slightly better for black. And I think the reason is I still have my isolated pawn, and I've kind of failed to become more active than black. Like, if anyone's active here, it's black. So, pretty interesting. And of course, the computer can find all this active stuff. So, knight b5 I thought was wrong, but I thought it was wrong because of rook c8, because, you know, I'm threatening this, but who cares? I don't think any of it's that great. The computer does like knight d6. And if takes, takes. It says rook e8. White has a slight edge here, but it's nothing special. Okay, so knight b5 though, I didn't want to play. A3 seems slow, but wow, computer gives it as the best move. Who would have guessed? Usually there's some kind of follow-up though. So it says a3, knight e5, and bishop a2. Wow, so I have a feeling that bishop a2 has to do with a couple different things. So this is actually interesting to me that a3 is strong here. So if black continues like rook c8, I guess the idea is that now knight a5 isn't as strong because bishop a2. And also bishop a2 lends itself to this plan. Rook c1, bishop b1, queen d3. And then maybe even like bishop e5. Because if they do take, we take with a pawn, and this knight is misplaced. And h7 becomes weak. So I'm thinking that's, I don't know if that's crazy thinking, but I think that all of that is part of the reason behind a3. All right, let's just continue with the game though. I went bishop to e5. He went rook c8. that looks natural enough. He is extraing my bishop, so I have to be a little bit careful. But I played rook c1. And I reasoned that if he takes my bishop, well, actually, I don't like this so much in hindsight. Like, if he takes this with a discovery on the bishop, I thought I could take with my knight, but I would really prefer to take with a pawn. Could I take with a pawn? Okay, let's find out. Okay, knight takes. If I take with a pawn, I am on this. So rook takes c4, and I could go here. But what is happening here? I'm not totally sure. I guess he has to take. Seems like black might be better because two bishops. That's what I'm thinking. And the game's open, two bishops, and it's hard to move my knights right now. Yeah, so engine says black's better. Yeah. Wow, interesting. Like a lot of these variations, it's like you have to see a bunch of like tactical and strategical moves. And then at the end of all that, you have to assess the position correctly. And I feel like that's one of them. Like we have to see that they have the two bishops and my knights can't really move. All right, well. Okay, I went back too far, but let's continue. Bishop f4. Okay, rook c1. Okay, so he actually went queen to b6 here. That does attack a pawn, and it puts pressure on my isolated pawn, so I can appreciate that move. I think it's decent. Here I thought about bishop to b3, and I thought about queen e2, and I thought about queen d3 even. I played knight to a4. Wow, I forgot about this. Yeah, knight to a4 I thought was pretty interesting. Idea, well, there's actually like a lot of ideas with this move. First of all, my bishop's defended now. Okay, so that's good. Second of all, attacking the queen. Third of all, protecting the pawn. Fourth of all, I might come into c5. And if I do come into c5, I'm hitting this pawn, I'm hitting this bishop. And if they take here, they lose their two bishops. So there's a lot going on with knight a4. It's a sufficiently complicated move. Now, if you went queen to b4, I was planning a3. Also note, the queen is defending the knight, so he's not hanging there. So queen b4 and queen a5. They don't necessarily attack the knight, although there is discoveries if this knight should move. Okay, so queen a5. And my idea here was knight c5. So the computer says I should take this knight first and only then play knight c5. So let's try to figure out why. I like to learn things. If knight c5, I thought this is fairly strong because I'm attacking a pawn. I'm attacking a bishop. I'm threatening to take the knight, and after takes, then take the bishop. For free even. So it seemed like it was fairly reasonable that black would have to give up their dark square bishop. So that is the best move. And then after I take that with a pawn, the computer likes knight takes e5. Okay, knight takes e5. I was planning knight takes. Yeah, and it says black's slightly better, but rook f d8 at once. Oops. Yeah, I don't know. This looks like a chess game to me. I don't see, it looks kind of equalish, but the computer likes black. which is kind of a mysterious to me. Don't know why. All right. So in the game, I went knight to c5. He did take, and this did happen. Let's just see really quick. I mentioned that the bishop should take the knight first. If here, we are, what are we threatening? Anything? Well, it doesn't defend the bishop because the knight was guarding it. So he should probably take. Oh. Yeah, and now knight c5 is a little bit stronger because this bishop was threatening to maybe trade off. And now the knight comes in. It's not attacked. It's safe. And it's threatening this. So black has to play bishop e8. Yeah, I like that for white. Now, it says position's completely equal, but it's got to be hard to play black here. This is a little bit awkward. Black does have the two bishops, but they're going to need to untangle in order for this to pan out for them. I'm also attacking this, by the way. So I could even take. Yeah, I don't know. Queen b6? Back here, or knight d6? Maybe knight d6 now. Yeah, I kind of like white. I don't know. Okay, so let's go back to the game, and I'm going to turn the engine off, okay? I think I've been relying on it too much, so okay, knight c5. He did take, and I have to take with a pawn. So here, he went rook to d8, rook f to d8, that is. So I guess he's sort of threatening bishop e8 with discoveries on the queen. Not that that's a threatening move. So here I actually took on f6. So I actually was being kind of sneaky, but not really. Because now if he tries a discovery, I take here. But also, I mean, there's nothing else guarding that f6 knight except for this pawn. So this is the real reason I played it. I like playing against this pawn structure. This is going to be a more attacking game now. Although it's not immediately clear to me how I attack, but I feel like given a few moves, I can get something going. So, queen e2. Let's think about this for a second. Oh, I remember this. I did look at this briefly with the computer. The computer gives a brilliant move here. Knight to d2. Who in their right mind would play knight to d2 in this position, right? Like, I did consider this because I want to play check. But then after here, you know, maybe the rook slides over. I'm not sure it's so good. But the computer likes knight to d2. And the idea is that, okay, if I was black, what would I play? I might play knight e5 is an idea. Stops knight to g4, or stops queen g4. Okay, I'll turn on the engine now. Wow, knight e4 wins, it says. Knight e4. Attacking this pawn, and it's really hard to stop the fact that I'm going to fork the king and the bishop or take a pawn. Yeah, this knight will be under attack by the rook. Wow, this is very fascinating stuff. Computer gives king g7 as the best move. What? King g7, defending the pawn. Okay, that move's insane. It must be insane. So let's play a more natural move. Let's just play, well, I guess if we go f5, now this knight's hanging. I can still check here anyway. Yeah, knight f6 check. And that's a problem. Now it wants king g7, but let's go here. That's the more natural move. Yeah, we're going to do a simple tactic. And that's not even a tactic. The knight's hanging. Okay, never mind. All right. Okay, I'm a believer in knight d2 all of a sudden. What a move. This is one of the main things I want to take away from this game, this knight d2 maneuver, because it looks so slow, but what a powerful move. Interesting. Okay, well, I'm not good enough to find that on my own. So queen e2 looks more natural, right? I want to go bishop g3, queen e4, knight h4, maybe queen g4 check. Maybe rook c3. There's a lot of natural attacking moves here that can be played. Okay, my opponent played knight to e7. I went a3. This probably isn't in the spirit of the position. I just noticed that the engine hates it. a3. I just wanted to play b4, that's all. But it says black can play queen takes c5. Wow. Oh, wow. I thought black would not do this due to discoveries. Mainly queen takes or bishop takes e6. But I wonder if black could simply take the rook. Notice there's two attackers on the rook. And if I take back rook check. Once there's a rook on c1 checking me, I guess I'd have to go knight e1. Okay, let's have a look at this. Gotta look at it. Takes. Okay, I was thinking knight e1 here, but now I'm gonna lose my bishop. Takes. Oh man. Not only that, but this is gonna happen. Pinning the knight. Oh, this is not good. Yeah, this is not good at all. If I go king f1, there's bishop c4. Look at that move. Yeah, this is just bad. The knight is pinned and black has too much play. They're going to win material. Wow, interesting. So they actually, so all of that means that they can grab the pawn on c5 with the queen. I didn't expect that during the game, but I was playing a rapid game and I had 4 minutes left, so try to cut me some slack. All right, so a3. My opponent played b5. That must be a blunder in light of queen takes c5. But yeah, I'm not afraid of that move. I could move the bishop to b3. I went here. I want to play queen e4 and threaten checkmate. It also improves the queen. So knight to d5. All right. He's threatening knight f4, it looks like. But here I went knight to h4. So now if he goes knight f4, I was planning queen g4 check. And if knight g6, I feel like things get dicey here. Because I have two attackers on e6. So like I could even take, I guess I could take this way though, huh? If they took this way, well, I'm not sure what's happening. But yeah, let's look at this really quickly. I'll turn on the engine. Queen g4 check, knight g6. Now, it says bishop takes knight. Okay. If knight takes knight, this is also still okay, not as good because of h takes. Okay, so, but if bishop takes, h takes, In this case, now we have knight takes g6 if we want it. Here, check. King f8. I'm going to win this pawn too. Okay, this looks crushing. Wow. These positions are really too complex for me to go through fully in the video, but I hope you're getting the idea of it. Okay, let's continue. Bishop to d3, knight to d5. I played knight h4. I expected f5 here because I'm going to play queen e4. And they played queen a4. Very interesting defensive resource. Not sure if it works or what. I mean, it does stop queen e4. Very true. And it also threatens the knight. But I feel like I have options, and among the best of them must be queen h5, right? It threatens mate and defends the knight at the same time. So that's pretty cool. And he went king to f8. Okay, so I feel like I have a very good attack, but as you might have expected, I have 2 minutes and my opponent has 9 minutes. So this is how I roll, right? I do this every game. It's just too tempting to play correct chess, or at least try to, though. So queen h6 check is a thought, or just take the h7 pawn. I took the pawn. He went queen to g4. So clearly, he wants to block with the queen, it looks like. So I played rook to e4. Now it turns out I had a very crushing move here. So if you want to pause the video and find it, go ahead and do so now. Yeah, this move. What a move this one is. So it's knight g6 check. If he takes with the queen, we take with the bishop. So that's not going to do anything. So he can't do that. If he takes with a pawn, then we actually have bishop takes g6. We threaten checkmate on f7. And it's very hard to stop. I'm not sure how you stop that. If bishop here, I think now we have queen h8. How do you get out of this? I don't know. I guess I'll try to run this way. It's probably the only move. And if here, this c-pawn is actually quite strong. It's taking away an escape score from the king. So he must block, and that's going to be checkmate. So very cool stuff. So after knight g6, he cannot take with a queen or a pawn. So what you do, I guess you go here, but then you get mated in one. So yeah, very cool move. I saw flashes of that during the game, but I did not see that it was like a forced mate like that. Plus, you know, this is why I need to learn to have not fall into these huge time deficits, because I do think I could find that win if I have more time on my clock, but not with 2 minutes. With 2 minutes on the clock, I'm like, oh man, I have to move. I have to move within 5 seconds. So I'm not going to find that. All right, so queen g4. I played rook to e4. Okay, it looked decent enough to me. Queen g5 was played. And I have to admit, my pieces are a bit awkward now. And I played rook c2. Okay, so I just don't want him to take my rook for free. Fair enough. King e7. Oh, it feels so risky. So now I wanted to play knight g6, but I was worried it doesn't work. Oh man, I just saw I have knight f5 now, don't I? This pawn is also pinned. Both these pawns are pinned. So he can't take here because I take here, and there's no pawn takes. And otherwise, knight f5 looks pretty strong. In the game though, I went knight f3, attacking the queen. Okay, and make no mistake, like, I'm still better. I'm like holding my advantage. I just didn't find, like, there were just wins here. Just immediate wins. I have 30 seconds on my clock, though. So time mismanagement as usual. Like, I'm kind of imagining that maybe I'll be like 1900 if I have more time. I guess we'll find that out in the long run. Okay, my opponent played queen to g8. I'm sure they're playing me on the clock at this point. And I did decide to take. I just felt like I won some pawns. I must be better. Rook takes. b4. I do have this pass pawn, and I have this pass pawn, and I reasoned that even with less than 30 seconds, I can do something with this. I do have 15-second or 10-second increment as well. All right, and now I'll try to fly through the rest of the game. I think we did cover a lot of really interesting things. Okay, that attacks my rook. So I went rook to h4. Okay, I guess he wants to trade. I took him up on that. And knight e5. All right, that attacks the bishop. He played knight to f4. He's attacking my bishop. So I went rook d2, defending it. You have to worry about this, you know, like remove the defender. I guess I have g3 there. But actually, the pawn structure will be better for black. All right, so rook g8. So now he's threatening to take g2, so I played g3. I'm not threatening to take the bishop though, because the g pawn is pinned. All right, and he moved his bishop. I like that move by him. But I do feel like I'm winning here. I just have to prove it. King h1. Now I am threatening to take the knight. So he took the bishop. Okay, I take. f6. And there's not a lot of squares for the knight, but I went knight f3. I think my knight actually belongs here. That's what I was thinking. Okay, bishop. That pins the knight. I was actually lucky that my rook's defending it. This could have got dicey. But okay, king g1, unpin. d5, he's threatening a fork. Better move something. So I move the knight. Now I'm attacking a pawn. And I'm threatening check. But first I went in. So rook d6. Yeah, and now I feel like it gets complicated for black because, you know, if something like this and check. If king here, this is a fork. Rook d7. That would attack the bishop and the king. Stuff like that creeps into the position. I also have forks with the knight in general. So, okay, he did go there. Check. He has to be really careful where he steps. He went king e8. Okay, well that does hang a pawn. I'm not a pawn grubber usually, but in this case it also threatens knight d6 check, winning the bishop. So I took it. Okay, he moved the bishop. Now I can play knight d6 anyway, knight d6 check. So I did that. King up, attacking the rook. Now if I take the bishop, he takes my rook. That would be sad, so I didn't do that. Rook f7 check. That's a skewer on the a7 pawn. Took the bishop first. Yeah, this is kind of a hard decision. Oh, wow. Computer says mate in 3. Okay, I'm going to turn the engine off. If you want to pause your video and find the mate in 3, go ahead. I'm trying to find it too. What's the mate in 3? I actually have no idea, to be honest with you. I wonder if it's something like this. Okay, let's find out. Well, it is c6. I didn't see the whole thing, though. c6, and it says rook takes g3. Who would do that? So there must be an almost mate here. What am I missing? Oh my gosh, we're threatening this. Look at that. c7 checkmate. That's what we're threatening. So that's why the rook has to go here. Because it's a desperation move. There's no way out of this at all. Wow, there's just no way out. The bishop can't stop it at all because it's on a dark square. Wow, that was fascinating. I love chess so much. I know, sounds funny, but yeah, like, wow, that's just incredible. I just, my mind is blown, like, every time I analyze a game. Okay, but let's get back to this one. King went up, check, there. So apparently c6, with the idea of c7, just checkmates the king. That's amazing. The knight guards the square. It's just beautiful, right? The rook guards this, the pawn takes that. It's a checkmate. So, okay, but I did this. This is winning, though. It's hard to blame me. I had, 19 seconds left. That's what it says. All right, I'll grab a pawn. Why not? Because I was thinking, if he moves his rook off the g file, I can take on f4. I think that's totally fine. Okay, take my rook, so I moved it. He went there. Now I can take on f4, like I said. All right, so he takes back. I mean, the only thing I have to watch out for now is he has the move like f3 followed by rook e1 checkmate. So I stopped it. Okay, he went up. Now I went f3. I just don't want him pushing that pawn. I mean, I'm obviously winning at this point. I just have to not blunder. Okay, I like the way I played this. Let's collect a pawn. He wants that pawn now, but I mean, he can have that pawn if he wants. My rook is already situated to defend b4, and I'm ready to run my h pawn, and I don't see any way to stop it. Yeah, this is how it went. Check. He can never trade rooks. Check. Okay, now I'm threatening h7 and rook g8, and that will win the rook, followed by queening more than one pawn. So he actually resigned right here. But what a game. That game was so rich with ideas and all kinds of stuff. And it's not the first time that I've had a Panov attack like this. I even have a flashcard where there was like an amazing knight g5 move. And I still don't understand it. I've looked at it like 3 or 4 times. There's all kinds of variations, like so many variations. And I don't understand. So it's clear to me that these Panov middle games will make you better at chess, and that I'm going to spend some time analyzing this with some of my coaches. I think maybe they can point out like any flaws in my thinking. So, but anyway, I hope you really enjoyed this game. It was really nice to take a win, I will say that. So I'm up to 1720. I think my highest is 1730 something, like 1733 or something. So a couple more wins and I will reach a brand new high. So it's nice to be climbing the mountain again, and hopefully I don't slip and fall. So, all right, this is Stacia, and I'll be back with more chess. Oh, and by the way, I will be recording with more video soon, like camera. I moved to a new apartment, so I'm setting up like my chess office. Um, so I'll get the camera exactly how I like it, and then I think I will be willing to be on camera some more. So that will be coming. And okay, I'll be back with more chess. Have a great day, and bye.